Good evening and welcome to the Passion and Purpose Hub. This is the Passionate Professional Series, episode 26. My name is Tunde Kukoyi and I'll be your host for this evening's episode. I'm so happy to have you join us on yet another interesting and inspiring episode. This Passionate Professional Series is an offshoot of the Passion and Purpose Hub, which is a channel on YouTube that shares useful knowledge to help you maximize your passions and your purpose so that you don't just enjoy your success, but also fulfillment in your lives. The reason we've been doing this for over 2 years is to bring you closer to professionals from across all walks of life to help you to see that, hey, if this person can do it, then I can do it as well. It's kind of bringing you closer to spark that flame within you to help you see that we're all human beings. No one is cut from different cloth. We all have capabilities within us. And bringing you closer to people that proximity principle, bringing you closer to people that you can see, oh, this person can do it. It helps to spark that courage within you as well to help you see that you can do it as well. And that is why we've been doing this for over 2 years. I want to say big thank you to everyone who's watching. Either you're watching live or even you're going to watch the replay. It's not hard watching replays in this day and time, but you people are the real MVPs as well. I really appreciate you for watching. As always, I like to remind us that the Passion Professional series is an interactive series. It's not just a conversation between myself and the guest. It's a conversation between myself, the guest, and you as a member of the audience. We like to hear back from you, your questions, your insights, your aha moments. Share them with us, and we'll be sure to pop them up on the screen. Whether you're joining in live from LinkedIn or from YouTube, we really want to say thank you for joining today. I'd like to tell you that our guest for today is already in the studio. He's here and is ready to add value to us. I can promise you that today's episode is going to be an inspiring episode. But just before I go ahead to introduce our guest for today, as always, I like to start with something I call a food for thought or a question that I'd like us to ruminate over. And the question for today's episode is this: do you know how to recognize and seize opportunities? Do you know how to recognize and seize opportunities? Now, this is the Passionate Professional series, and it's geared towards professionals from across all walks of life. And I know that you, are, as a member of the audience, you're a professional as well. You agree with me that there's different types of opportunities in the professional workspace. Some could be career growth opportunities, whether it's an opportunity for a promotion. It could be personal growth opportunities, an opportunity to go to a course or something that would improve you as a person. It could be leadership opportunities, an opportunity to either lead a team or to spearhead a project. And it could be networking opportunities, opportunity to either network with people within the organization or to go outside and meet people within the organization. So the question is, do you actually recognize these opportunities and do you seize these opportunities when they turn up? How do we identify opportunities? I think the first thing is for us to be curious and open-minded. You need to actually pay attention. Opportunities do not always come dressed as opportunities. Sometimes they come dressed as problems. You need to be very, very vigilant. You need to ask questions because opportunities might just come and pass you by if you don't ask questions. And another thing is always spot patterns. When you spot patterns, you're able to spot problems, you're able to find loopholes that you can correct. Don't just be the person who just complains and reports faults. You should also be the kind of person that should think, how can we solve this? How can we come with a solution to this? The other thing is whenever there are problems or when there's crisis, then always ask yourself WTOH. This is not a swear word, it's WTOH, and that means what's the opportunity here? Um, I think it was Napoleon Hill that said that in every adversity, it carries away a seed of opportunity. In every seemingly difficult situation, there is an opportunity there. So be vigilant and be able to spot opportunities even in times of problems. The next thing I would like to say is you should speak to the key opinion leaders. So people have they know where the opportunities lie, even in your organization, in your professional sphere, they know where the opportunities lie. So take some time to go out, buy them a cup of coffee, sit down with them, and ask them the key questions: that what can I do? Where are the opportunities in this field? The movers and the shakers. You need to be speaking to those kinds of people. And Finally, how do you seize opportunities? I think the most important thing is for you to be decisive. As Tony Robbins likes to say yes. Like sometimes say yes before you even figure out how you're going to do it. Because indecision is a thief of opportunity. Be very good at making decisions. When you start by making decisions on simple things, you find out that even with difficult things, you find it easier to make decisions. The next thing is always over deliver. Always over deliver. If they tell you to do a simple project, don't just stop at that project. Do more. Be that kind of person that when they give you something, you exceed expectations. If you're that kind of person, you will even need to keep chasing opportunities. They'll bring the opportunities to you on a platter of gold. Don't be afraid of failure. Always be prepared to try. And probably the most important thing I'll say here is you should prepare for opportunities before they arrive. Prepare for opportunities before they arrive. If you want to be that keynote speaker who is speaking to 10,000 people in a stadium, you should. It's not by sitting down on the couch waiting for the opportunity to come. You need to start speaking in front of a mirror, speaking to people, even if it's a group of 5 people, even a group of 10 people, going out to events. You need to prepare for opportunities before they come. Because if you don't prepare for opportunities before they come, you'll not be able to handle the opportunities when they eventually come. So I'll leave you with a quote from John Wooden, who was a coach of basketball, one of the most successful basketball teams in the United States. And he says that when the opportunity comes, it is too late to prepare. So think about this. When opportunity comes, it's too late to prepare. Be prepared, always be prepared for opportunities. Always keep working while you are waiting for an opportunity. Always keep working. And the reason why I chose this topic is because I think our guest for today is someone who has been able to capitalize on opportunities in his life and is going to share some of them with us even as we go on through this episode today. So that I'll go ahead to read out the bio of our guest for today, who I said is already in the studio, and we'll get today's episode started. So our guest for today is Lordwin Anim. I hope I got the pronunciation right. It correct me when it comes up if I didn't. But our guest for today is Lordwin Anim. And this is an opening quote that Lordwin has sent to me. When it's all said and done, it's not about what you do, but about who you have become. It's not about what you do, but about who you have become. I'm sure we'll talk about that more when we have our conversation. Now, Lordwin is a professional is a young professional actually. I think he's probably the youngest professional that's come on this series since we started, and is making waves within the tech space. Storytelling, his bridge building, and motivational abilities. He's an IT consultant and is a technical support specialist. He's also a youth worker, a workshop leader, and a public speaker. He has served as the Chief Operating Officer of Life Creations, a youth organization in the UK, and he's also worked with National Citizen Service and is currently a community events lead at Microsoft. His areas of expertise are communication, leadership, and presentation. He is passionate about youth empowerment, personal and career development. He spends a lot of his time helping people, particularly young people, understand more about their identity and to walk in the fullness of it. He has a story to tell, and he wants to use his story to help you discover the treasure that you have within you. So, ladies and gentlemen, with that, I would like to welcome to the virtual stage Lodwin Adim. A round of applause for him.
Thank you very much for having me. How are you doing today?
Very well, thank you. Thank you for honoring the invitation. It's a pleasure and an honor to have you spend 1 hour of your time with us on Passionate Professional Series today.
Hey, it's
I'll start
welcome.
by asking how's your weekend been? Bright and sunny weekend. What have you been up to?
Oh, my weekend. Yeah, it's been a interesting weekend. Yesterday I was actually at work. So
Okay.
yeah, doing quite a bit of that. It was very, very interesting in central London. They were doing a huge parade. People were screaming, shouting, doing chants, this and that, huge parade through Oxford Circus. So I was just working whilst that was happening. And yeah, that was that. Today, I've just been to church, relaxed a bit, was walking throughout my neighborhood, explored a few new places. There's some woods near the house. So I was just walking through there, hearing a lot of nature, animals and birds and stuff like that. So yeah, it was
Nice.
cool. It's been both Saturday and Sunday have been a bit contrasting. Today's been a much more relaxed. Saturday was much more busy. So it's been a good weekend. How about your own?
Good, good. I actually was working at the start of the weekend. I worked all through yesterday, caught up on some sleep this morning, and then yeah, I got ready for our interesting discussion today. Yeah, but interestingly, I'm going to have some days off, so yeah, maybe I'll go ahead to do some walking like you, explore nature, yeah, rejuvenate in nature, yeah, and relax really, and
Yeah,
spend some time with family.
it's needed. It's needed. Mm.
Absolutely, absolutely. Good. I've just read out your bio. And yeah, I like to think of bios as what you say when people are coming up on the big stage as keynote speakers, which is great because you want to know the credibility of the person coming to speak to you. But again, I also like to start with personal connection, like let you know who you truly are, I mean, who you are, where you've come from, things like that. Things that you will probably be telling me if we sat together with a cup of coffee, because I like these conversations to be intimate as well. So I'd like to start by asking you to please tell us a bit about yourself.
Okay, tell me. Tell. What would you like to know about Lordwin? Well, first of all, my name is Lordwin, and yeah, it's my story is not too, you know, it's not like a super extravagant story. I came from the mountains and anything like that. No, no. I was born and raised in Amsterdam, the Netherlands. So of course, by blood, I'm Ghanaian. So my parents, grandparents, and all of that are all from Ghana, but I was born and raised in Amsterdam. So I'm guessing that made the whole documentation and passport situation a lot easier. Citizenship and that. Yeah, it's fine. But yeah, I was
Yes.
born and raised in Amsterdam. So lived there for close to 10 years before I moved to the UK. Wonderful, it was a very safe area. We had so much family there, and it was always good. It was always good. Me and my brothers, we would walk to school very, very early on, so yeah, I was born and raised there, of course, spoke the language. So when I came here, I came here in 2006, and, I've lived here for, um, yeah, pretty much 18 years. It's been moved around quite a bit whilst I've been here, but yeah, it's been an interesting journey so far. I'm the youngest of three boys, so I'm the baby of the family. Um, but for some reason, I'm also the biggest, so I'm not really the baby of the family. But nah, yeah, I mean, I really just I like to have fun, just enjoy myself. But at the same time, I guess even the reason why you must have invited me to come on the Passionate Professional is that I've become quite serious about life and progression, not just in the professional aspect, but in my identity and who I'm becoming and how I can help people in there as well. So that's something that I've been working on quite a bit, and that sort of encapsulates a little bit about who I am.
Oh, thank you for sharing that. And yeah, it's interesting to know that you probably, how many languages do you speak?
Um, so I speak three languages. So well, I guess Dutch would technically be my first language. I don't know
Yeah,
what my first word was. I don't know what language that was in. I don't know. But of course, my parents speak Tree, which of course for some people who don't know, that's a Ghanaian language, or otherwise known as Akan. And then of course I speak English. So English is actually my third language. Of course, I learned a little bit of French and German whilst I was in school and stuff like that.
yeah.
Dutch, Tree, and English. Those are the three languages that I can speak. What about yourself? What language do you speak?
Well, I speak two,
Mhm.
English and Yoruba. Um,
Oh,
beginner level French, but yeah, just beginner level French. Yeah.
okay,
But
okay.
I always like to meet people that can speak more than at least two languages. I feel for some reason that the world would actually be better if we could speak more languages, because languages are a means of communication. So if you're able to speak someone's language, on one hand, you've already won with them, although there
Mhm.
might still be some other differences. But yeah, when I meet people that can speak more than two languages at least, I feel like you're in a better state to actually become or to have better and stronger connections. So that's why I'm always curious about languages.
Yeah, man. I mean, look, how many countries and people does just speaking one more language open you up to? Like, think about the people that can speak Spanish.
Yeah.
There's just so many places that you can go to and you'll be fine. You know.
Yeah, you can be a keynote speaker there. You can be like, oh, you can speak our language, why not? Yeah. So it's just, yeah. And interestingly, I mean, as children, we can actually pick up more languages, but the older we get, I don't know, maybe because we're overburdened with a lot of other things going on in life, it seems like our capability to learn new languages starts declining as we grow older. So it's
Mm.
always encouraged, it's always advisable that the younger you are, try to learn another language, Mandarin, French, Portuguese, whatever. It just opens up more worlds to you to be.
True, yeah.
You mentioned something interesting when you were talking. You did say that yeah, because you're now serious about life, and even as a young man, I'm sure you've already crafted your values. So I'm going to ask you. So what are your values, and why did you choose those values? If I can ask you that question.
Wow. So by what are your values? What do you mean by that? Do you mean what sort of way in which I live life is valuable to me, or what do
Yeah,
you?
or what are your non-negotiables? Like when it comes to this, these are the things that take priority in my life.
Okay. Yeah. So what takes priority in my life? Um, for especially an I would say an interesting part of my life. I would say would be my relationship with God. And the reason why I say that, I guess you'll hear about it quite a bit more throughout the hour. But that's one of my non-negotiables that I will do my best to develop that because I see all of what's going on in the world. I see what's happening, pardon me, on the planet with human beings, with the government, with media, all of these things. And you look at it and you think to yourself, man, what is going on? This certain things just don't seem to make sense anymore. And I've always been a person who's wanted to know more. I've always been an inquisitive person. You know, as and it's like it's almost in my nature to want to know more. It's always the kind of person that I've been, and growing up in the family that I've grown up in, has always made me want to know more about God, not just because my parents were, living that life or anything like that, but mostly because there's so many things that I didn't understand, but I knew that it was almost in a higher dimension than I could even perceive. You know, in the same way that how your phone has many signals that are sent constantly, but you can't see them, Bluetooth waves, radio waves, and things like that. Even though 100% those things are happening, Bluetooth is allowing things to be connected, Wi-Fi is allowing internet to be connected, radio waves, microwaves, those things are happening. You can't physically see them with your eyes, but you know that that's happening because there's results being shown on your phone screen that show that this is happening. I realized that it's the same thing for my actual real life, that there are certain things that are happening and I'm seeing the effects of it, but I can't physically see the causes. So
Mm.
because of those sorts of things, I began to explore God more and started to ask myself, cool, if these things are happening and I don't seem to understand it, that must mean that the cause behind it or the answers can be found in a world that I can't really seem to see. Because if I can find the same sort of answers in technology, where I can realize that, all right, these connections are being made to the phone through Bluetooth and other things, then there must be something when it comes to my own life and the way the world is going. So as I began to explore God, who He is, and my relationship with Him, and things like that, that began to really build my values. And one thing that I hold to myself dearly, and I always say this to people, is that at the end of the day, I'm a human being and I'm living with other human beings. So what that means is that there's a certain level of love that I need to have for everybody. Everybody's going through different battles, but everybody's going through a battle. I don't know
Yeah.
what anybody's family situation is other than my own. I don't know what anybody's mental situation is other than my own. Even the people in my immediate family, I don't know exactly what's going on in their head, So the best thing I can do is treat people and try to help people as much as I can within my own capacity, and then hope that things continue to go right for them because we are going through so much, pain and turmoil in this world, especially nowadays. We might not be feeling it as much in the Western world, but if you watch any stretch of news or anything like that, you can see in the eastern part of the world, these things are going crazy. And you see some of those things that you think to yourself, man, this stuff is terrible. And I look at that and I think, wow, I'm very, very grateful that I'm in a part of the world where this is not happening to us yet, So I should do my best to have compassion towards those people who aren't having the best of time, and do my best to continue to be a person that can be a light to those people who feel that they're in a dark place. You understand? So, yeah, very true, Sheila. Lead in love. I think that's one of my biggest values, is to move with love and help people to understand. And sometimes that love doesn't always show up in a way that people necessarily appreciate or find comfortable, because with love should come truth. And sometimes telling the truth can be very uncomfortable, and sometimes it can be quite ugly, but it's needed,
Mm.
because it's not everything that's good for you that feels good at the time. So yeah, I hope that gives you a little bit of insight into some of my
Yeah,
values.
yeah. So I've kind of like written it out as relationship with God. You can also name that spirituality. Number two, respect for others, mutual respect and service for others. And then you talk about leading with love and integrity. Yes, I totally agree with you. Excellent values to live by. And the reason why you're passionate professional series is because you're passionate about something. So tell us that thing that you're passionate about.
Okay, what am I passionate about? Yeah, so I'm actually very passionate about helping people to discover more about their identity. And this is one of the most important things, at least in my understanding, because many people's problems, most of people's issues, come from the fact that they simply don't know who they are.
Mm,
Because when you don't know who you are, what you do is going to be impacted by who you think you are. You see, if think about it like this, Cristiano Ronaldo, he is a footballer, and he's
yeah.
not just a footballer. He believes he's the greatest footballer that has ever touched a football. So he behaves like that. He does things that keep him in that place. He trains at a level that some people would vomit if they even did one day of that. Why?
Mhm.
Because he believes he is at that level. I remember seeing on, I think it was on BBC Sport, Patrice Evra,
Yeah.
who I believe, yeah, he's one of his teammates, former teammates, would talk about how he would go to his house and then they'd have a competition about who could train the most. And Evra was scared. He was almost scared because of how intensely he trained. But the reason why Cristiano Ronaldo did that is because of who he believes he is. And so it made me realize, hold on a second, okay, the way he sees himself and his belief and his conviction about his identity is controlling how he behaves. You see, a lot of us in this life, we want to have things and we want to do certain things and we want to be successful and stuff like that. But I guess it goes back to the quote that you read that I said, that it's less about what you do and more about who you've become. Not to
Mhm.
say that what you do is not important, but that's not the foundation. You see, it's who you are that determines what you will do, and who you are largely comes as a result of what you believe about yourself. You see, so I'm very passionate about helping people to continue to understand more about themselves, who they are, what they've got within them, and how they can continue to elevate that to a point where it will benefit them. Because one of the books I read, and I think you know what? Let me not even go into that. I'll let you get to that when we get there. But one of the most important things that I just be helping people with is about helping them understand their gifts, because that can begin to help a person understand. Okay, maybe this is who I am. Why is that something that can help a person with who they are? Because a gift can help a person to understand purpose. Think about it like this: a Bluetooth speaker, you might not even, if you take a look at a Bluetooth speaker, it might be in a weird shape and you might not know what it is. But once you figure out the gift of it, you begin to understand what it is. What is the gift of
Mhm.
a Bluetooth speaker? It's amplification. all it does is take a sound that's given to it and it amplifies it so that it's louder. When you begin to hear the music, you think, oh, where's the speaker? You get what I'm trying to say? So it's
Yeah.
because the gift, which is the thing that it gives to others, or it offers to others, or it serves to others, because of that, you begin to understand, okay, this is the purpose of this item. The same thing goes for the chair that both of us are sitting on. The chair is able to hold a weight that is much heavier than itself for a long
Yeah.
period of time, and it's able to keep that thing stable. As you sit on it and you realize, this can keep me seated for a very long time and it doesn't break, you begin to understand more about the purpose of it because of the gift that it gives you. So one thing I'm very passionate about when it comes to different people and just life is helping people to understand more about their gift, because that is them getting one step closer to figuring out their identity and beginning to understand their purpose. And when they begin to understand their identity and purpose, they'll begin to live a life that is not just more fulfilling, but it's more beneficial to the people around them.
Hmm. That's really interesting. When did you realize that you're passionate about this?
Well, um, I guess it starts with the struggle I had within myself. Because if you think about it, my name is Lordwin. You know, I've never met anybody with my name, so
Mm.
it was always a thing of, Mom, Dad, why did you give me this name? There's a bit of pressure, embedded in the name. There's Lord at the beginning and there's Win at the end. So it's like I'm expected to do better than everybody. And I was also in, like, my family dynamic. I'll say it like this: is that for a lot of people, and I've spoken to a lot of people about this, in a Ghanaian household, for a lot of people,
Yeah.
their the way their family dynamic is that the youngest is the spoiled one. The youngest boy is the spoiled one. But for me, at least from my perspective, it had always been like, you need to do better than everybody because you have everybody to learn from. So
Mm.
for a long time, I had that sort of pressure on me, and I always thought to myself, nah, I need to do better than everybody. I need to do this, and that. But, you know, as I began to grow up and I started to realize a little bit more about myself, started to learn a little bit more about myself, and started to learn, obviously, about God and all of these kind of things, and started to find my own path. I started to realize that, you know, there is something within me that's special, and I have to begin to actually use that properly. you know when I began to search for those things, I came to realize that it's not actually hard to find it.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's just the fact that it's so obvious that you've overlooked it for most of your life.
Mm.
See, when I was younger, one of my teachers in primary school used to call me Loudwin, instead of Lordwin. I was always loud. And of course, back then, maybe I didn't think about it, but that gave an indication into one of my gifts, which is to do with my voice.
Mhm.
See, back then I wasn't really thinking about it because I'm in primary school, so that's not really what's on my mind. I'm just thinking, why are you calling me Loudwin? But it's as I began to grow up and I started to realize, I sing well, I do this, I motivate people, all of this kind of stuff. I'm always liking to learn. I even remember when I was in secondary school, I was on the bus. This was when I was like 12. I was reading a book called How to Find Your Purpose in 10 Days. And
Mm.
it's like, back then, it wasn't really something that I was thinking about too deeply. But it's when I look back, when I grew up, it was like, why was I reading that book at that time?
Yeah.
You could be reading comic books, story books, even manga or whatever. But I'm reading How
Exactly.
to Find Purpose in 10 Days because there's something in me that was curious to find that. You see, so I began to watch different videos as I was growing up, and I definitely can't forget about one thing as well, which I'll talk about in the mentor stages. Definitely mentors. Mentors helped me to align my mind with what was more important as well. But a lot of these things that I was passionate about came from my own struggles of feeling like I had to always impress everybody, or do everything for everybody. But as I began to realize that, what, it's not always about impressing everybody else. It's about making sure that you're good with yourself and making
Yeah.
sure that you are secure within yourself. That's where a lot of growth begins. That's where a lot of growth begins. And those sorts of things that I was doing, those ways I was behaving, a lot of that help came from mentorship and watching certain videos and reading certain books and exposing myself to that sort of information. I am definitely not a product of my own work. Lordwin is not a product of his own work. I'm a product of many different people's investment in my life. That's what I can definitely say. But yeah, it's been a long journey. And I
Yeah.
mean, I've not been on this earth for that long, so it's only going to get better, is what I can say. But yeah.
Absolutely, 100%. Yeah, I love that point where you said that there is something special within you. Sometimes
Mhm.
it's so obvious that you overlook it, and that's the same in most of us. Our gifts, our talents, our passions are sometimes so obvious that we think, oh, that can be my passion, that can be my gift. I can do that too easily, but maybe that's what the answer is. But now that we're talking about the topic of identity, I just wanted to play a short clip, and then I'll go on to ask you a question.
No problem.
Well, let's take a look at the world population right now. At the minute, there's probably an estimate of about 8,060,506,152, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 60, and people on this planet, and it just keeps going up. Do you know what the beautiful thing, or actually maybe the scary thing about this is? Is that not a single one of those people is exactly like you. See, not a single one of those people is exactly like you. Nobody on this planet thinks exactly like you. No one.
Yeah, so that was you talking to a group of youngsters, I think, looking at the back of their heads, about how there's no one that is exactly like them, and it's crazy to think that there's over 8 billion people in the world. Do you think that we are facing an identity crisis in the world today? Do you think so? And if yes, what do you think is causing it, or what do you think is the solution to it?
An identity crisis, 1000%. You know, many people are disillusioned with who they are, aren't understanding where they come from and any of that kind of stuff. From one of my mentors, I've learned that there's five of the most important questions in human history that every single person needs to answer in order to live a fulfilling life. It doesn't matter what you're doing, who you are, when you were born, you need to be able to answer these questions. And, you know, the first one of those questions is, who am I? The second is, where am I from? The third one is, why am I here? The fourth one is, what can I do? And the fifth is, where am I going? Now, you take a look at all of those questions, and they are very simple questions. But it's sometimes in the simplicity of those questions where you begin to have to do the most thinking. Because usually, when you ask a person, who are you? They will say, I'm a doctor, or I'm a software engineer. No, that's not who you are. That's what you do
What you
at
do?
the moment. It's not even what you do for your life. That's what you do at the moment.
Sure.
We've seen in the tech industry, there have been thousands and thousands of layoffs. Whatever those people were doing in 2023, they're no longer doing it anymore. So they can no longer say, I am this person. Who are
Mm.
you? You see, a lot of people cannot answer that question because they don't know who they are. What's the second question? Where am I from? That's a question of source. Now, the thing about an identity crisis is that who you are and where you're from are very interlinked, because your source determines your identity. Where you come from determines who you are. That's what I personally believe. Some people may disagree with me, but you are free to disagree with me, of course. I'm not right about everything, but what I personally very much believe is that where you come from is a direct indicator as to who you are. You see, a dog comes from a dog, so it's a dog. It's very obvious. A horse comes from a horse, so it's a horse. It's very, very obvious. Apples come from apple trees, which are created by planting the seed of an apple. It's very obvious. So who am I? The first thing that I am, or at least from what at face value, the first thing is I am a human being because I come from a human being.
Mm.
Now, where does this identity crisis come from? I personally believe that this comes from a disconnect from people's creator. Think about it like this: a phone that is any sort of item that has a manufacturer, anything that exists has a manufacturer, and the manufacturer decides what the item is. Steve Jobs or Apple that he represents decided what the iPhone would be, decided that it would be called an iPhone, decided what it would be able to do, and decided how it would be sold and all of those kind of things. The same thing goes for the chair that we're sitting on. The same thing goes for LinkedIn and YouTube that have been created by certain people. They decided what it would be called. They decided how it would function. They decided exactly what it would do. And my personal belief is that I, along with every other human being, has been created by God. See, this is where it comes back to the whole, where do my values come from? Because my values were established by the very person I believe that I'm related to, which is God himself, you see,
Yeah.
and that determines who I am. Because I'll be honest, I definitely went through an identity crisis myself. There were so many things that I was struggling with. There were so many things that I couldn't seem to get over because the person who I believed I was had no ability to overcome those things. Like I was struggling with so many things: drinking, smoking, just addictions, different addictions. I couldn't stop doing certain things. And of course, for those who have been addicted to anything, you know what it feels like to be powerless to stop something. If there's one thing I know about us human beings is that we crave power, and wanting to be powerful is not necessarily a bad thing. It's, of course, when it gets to a level where you'll do anything for power. But the reason why we want power is because we have been created to be powerful. So whatever you have created to whatever you're created to be, you will desire. A bird has been created to fly, so it desires flight. Fish have been created to swim, so they desire swimming. Whatever you have been created to do, you desire to do. It's the same way that I desire to speak to people and to motivate people and to help people understand more about their identity, because I believe that I've been created for them. There's some people who have been created to be athletes. That's why they can't stay in their seat. They always have to go and be active, you see. And it's with all of these things that I've begun to understand, that I look out in the world and I look at other people and I see there is 1000% an identity crisis in today's world.
Mm.
I don't have to look very far to see that that's the case. I could even look in my workplace. I'll give you an example of one wonderful person that I know. I won't give her name, of course, for privacy purposes and all of that kind of stuff, but she is one of the hardest workers. As in the level of work she does, you will look at her and you'll stand there, you'll think, what's going on? This person speaks 5 languages.
Well,
5. As in, it's insane. As in, constantly, when it comes to revenue and when it comes to performance, top of the list. But the one issue that she has is she doesn't believe in herself. That's her one Achilles heel. She's doing everything amazing, but it's that lack of self-belief that's crushing her every time. Lack of self-belief is undefeated. I'm telling you,
yeah,
especially it's so crazy, it's so sad. And of course, I don't know everything that's gone on in her life that has caused her to begin to think like that and caused her mind to get to that stage. But you see that that lack of self-belief in her identity, and maybe her ignorance of her true identity and all of that kind of stuff is causing all of the stagnation that she is currently experiencing. Because honestly, I tell you, if with everything she has right now, if she simply had an even slightly confident mindset, clear, she would be so far ahead of so many people who are simply willing to try and willing to go for the opportunity. It's like the quotes that you were putting in before, that you almost have to say yes to the opportunity before you're even ready for it. She would be ready for the opportunity before it's even come to her, and still the opportunity would come and she would say, no, I can't do it. I'm not the kind of person that can do that. Even though multiple times in the past you've seen her do something even way beyond that. She's over delivered in that, even when she's not received the opportunity.
So
And
what would you say? I'm sorry to. So what would you say is the solution to that? If there's someone that is listening that is in that same situation, thinking, oh, I always like the imposter syndrome. I can't do this. I can't do this. I'm not good enough. What do you think is the solution to that?
So, when I look at a person like that, I believe the solution to that first comes from taking yourself out of an environment that continues to allow you to believe that. You see, I was talking to my friend about this sort of, I wouldn't call it a chart, but it's almost like a process. It's be, do, have. You have to, if you want to have something, you have to do the things, what you have to do what it takes in order to have that thing. But in order to do those things, you have to be the person that can do that. But it goes further than that. You don't just decide to become somebody, because if that's how it was, then things would be a lot easier. Your mind, you have to get your mind to that place first. I believe personally that whatever you believe in your mind, that's what you become. You know how they say, you are what you eat.
Yeah.
It's the same for what goes into your head. I believe we have two stomachs. There's one that's here and there's one that's here. How you get things into this stomach is through your mouth, but how you get things into this stomach is through your eyes and through your ears. Whatever you expose yourself to is going to go into here. This is the difference. Whatever goes into this stomach affects your body, but whatever goes into this stomach affects your entire life, and it even begins to affect the people around you. Now, if you decide that what's going to go into this stomach is going to change and is going to be better, then your life will eventually become better. Eventually is undefeated. It eventually will always come, but it just depends on what it is you make happen. So instead of it being just be, do, have, it becomes think, be, do, have. But then it goes even further than that. In order to think about something in order to change your mind, you have to expose yourself to the material that's going to change that mind for you. Like I said, I'm not a product of my own work. I'm a product of many different people's investments. I'm a product of my parents' investment, them deciding to come together, get married, move countries, take care of their children and all of that kind of stuff. I'm a product of that. I'm a product of the mentors that decided to take their time and sacrifice and do these things for me and still love and care about me when I was upset, when I was shouting and this and that kind of stuff. I'm a product of those people. I'm a product of all of the people whose books that I've read, who spent the time writing those books, regardless of whether they knew me or not knowing that their books would change my life. I'm a product of the people who made the videos that changed my life. And that's the thing. My job was to expose myself to those things, or allow myself to be exposed to those things. That's what began to change the way I thought. Because like you were saying, how did my journey even get to this point of being passionate about these things? It didn't just happen overnight. Especially when I was a teenager, this is something that happened in my house a lot. I would always be the one that would get into trouble. And, I would always be the one that's talking back to my parents and all of that kind of stuff. And it got to a point when I started to realize, I talk a lot. Lordwin, you talk a lot, but most of what's coming out of your mouth is rubbish. So I had to, I had to be honest with myself, because that's what I was saying. Yeah, being truthful is uncomfortable.
Mhm.
It's the only thing that's going to lead to growth. So I had to make a decision at that point to actually start filling my mind with things that are going to make what comes out of my mouth make sense. Because I believe in the saying that out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks. Whatever you have most in your mind is what's going to decide what comes out of your mouth. And for all of those who are watching, whether you know it or not, or believe it or not, what comes out of your mouth is powerful. I'm a testament to that myself, because the way I speak about myself nowadays has changed my life. You see, and this is the thing. So the equation goes: expose, think, be, do, have. You have to expose yourself to things that are going to change your mind. Keep thinking about those things, and eventually you can become the person who can do the things to obtain the lifestyle that you want to have. Yes, it might seem like a long process, but the scary thing and the beautiful thing about it is that you're already participating in that process. You might just not be exposing yourself to things that are going to help you get what you want to have, because that's the thing about life. You're on a conveyor belt either to destruction or to destiny, regardless of what you think it is. So to everybody listening, I want you to understand that, listen, there is an identity crisis in today's world, but how do you actually change it? Is by changing what you pay attention to, changing what you expose yourself to. Because at the end of the day, attention is one of the most valuable currencies in today's world. You are paying attention. That's why it's a currency. The more you focus on things that are not going to help you, the more your life becomes a helpless one. The more you focus on things that are going to elevate you, the more your life becomes a source of elevation and inspiration to other people. So yes, an
Wow.
identity crisis is there, but you don't have to be one of the people who's a victim of the identity crisis in today's world.
Wow, you've actually said a lot, and I've written a lot just from the few minutes we had that you talked. And I like your, I'll call it like a flow chart. Is first you expose yourself to the right things, then help you to think about the right things. Then you can be that person, and then you can do that person, and then you can get the results. You can have those results that you want to have. And
Yeah.
yeah, we've been talking a lot about identity, understanding your gifts, and how that helps you to 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 fulfill your purpose. Just on a little side note, I just wanted to ask: is there a time that you, maybe just to encourage people, is there a time that you've actually recognized an opportunity and then you're able to seize the opportunity? Can you just share one of them with us? Um,
Yeah. A time I recognized an opportunity and seized it. Yes. So you might not think that this is an opportunity that I seized, but it's in applying to become a delivery driver at Just Eat the second I came out of uni. Why is that an opportunity? Because it helped me to make decisions quicker. You see, I've really, especially over time, especially when I was younger, but nowadays I'm coming out of it. I struggled with the habit of not making decisions quick enough. I've noticed in life that being indecisive is crazy. It's not going to help you. You see, you even see the picture there of me in my Just Eat top. Um, I remember, like, it's because I just remember finishing university. I was coming with my parents, driving down back to London from Birmingham, and within a week, I had gotten the job because I made the decision that, nah, I'm not gonna sit here and wait for my dream job. I'm doing what it takes to get money as quickly as possible. Let me get whatever job I can think of. So as soon as I got the Just Eat job, I took that opportunity. And the second thing I decided to do, which was also an opportunity that I seized, was force my perspective on that job to be positive. You see, you and see, this is the thing that I want you to understand as well. This life, most of it is in your head. Most of the problems you're facing. I'm not saying the problems that you're facing are in your head, but you get me. Many people's problems are very, very real, and they are facing them in the face. But the perspective you choose to have towards that issue is what's in your head. that perspective is a mental thing, and you have an opportunity to change it. You see, I could have been the person that said, you know what, nah, I'm not gonna work at Just Eat. I've just finished university. I'm too big of a man to be wearing orange and to be riding around, delivering KFC to someone's uncle. I could have been that guy and said that, but if I had said that, I would have first of all lost the opportunity to make that money. I would have lost the opportunity to get fit while riding a bike, and I would have lost the opportunity to discover more about London. You see, look, I'm a person that likes food. Do you know how many food spots I found? As a result of driving around and just eat. No, see, I'm being real about it. But see, this is the thing. If your perspective about these things is not in a perspective of what else can I find, you won't take these opportunities. You see, and I wanted to make sure that I said this one specifically because people are probably going to think, he's going to give an opportunity about Microsoft and things. No. It's not always about the glamorous looking jobs or the big ones. It's about the times when you were able to shift your mind to a place where you began to elevate. Because I believe the most important thing that we have and the most important asset we have is our mindset. Whatever you do, if your mindset is in the wrong place, it's going to only be a matter of time before you go back down. But I decided that, regardless of what it is, I'm going to do what I can in that job and I'm going to enjoy it. Within 1 month, I was promoted to a courier captain. So I was no longer delivering food every single day. I was helping out in the warehouse, helping fix bikes, do this and that, working on the computer systems, working with the people that were on the computer systems. And within 2 months of doing that, I was offered the promotion to become a courier coordinator. So I would have been working on the computer systems, doing many different things and stuff like that. But the only reason I didn't take it is because I got the job at Microsoft. You see, so I looked at that, and even that, that was a job that I applied for, but it wasn't necessarily like the most like the dream Microsoft job or something like that. It was a part-time customer advisor role. So for 3 days a week, I'd be selling devices on the shop floor. Some people might look at that and say, I just did a computer science degree. I should be a software engineer. I did this, that. And you see, it's like when you come into it with that mindset, you just ruin all of your opportunity. You ruin all of your chances. Sometimes just settle down and ask yourself, cool, what can I make of this?
Yeah.
All right, cool. If I can just get my foot in the door at Microsoft, I can begin to climb my way up. I don't even need to climb all the way to the top, but I can climb to a place where I can create even more opportunities and seize them. And that's what I did. I started working at Microsoft December 2021. By September 2022, I was offered a full-time contract. And then from there, I've got to the stage where I am now, speaking in different places, getting opportunities, this and that. And, somehow Tunde Kukoyi has found me and now I'm on the Passionate Professional. You see, so it's like there were small opportunities that I saw and I said, cool, I'm going to seize it. So if there's anything I can give you a lesson on to you, the viewer, it's don't just look for big opportunities. If the opportunity is going to help you in your mindset or is going to help you in your progression, take it. Seize it, because it's not always about looking good in front of other people. Sometimes it's about you working on your mentality and working on your discipline. And sometimes it's about you working on your humility as well. Sometimes we shouldn't be so entitled and think that we need to be CEO today in order for us to feel successful. Sometimes just learn the skills, the basic skills and the basic character traits that you're going to need for when you get to the top. Because many of you are extremely capable of what it is you desire, but you haven't become the person that can handle the stress and the pressure that's going to get there. I remember learning this when I turned 10, because there was a poster in church when I was in children's church, is that ability gets you to the top, but it's character that keeps you there. Exactly. You can have the skills and the talent, but if you don't have the mentality, eventually you will fall. And like I said before, eventually it's undefeated. So recognize and take opportunities, even if they are small. If you know that they're going to help you, take them. Don't just wait for the big opportunities, because it's the small ones that stack up that make a big opportunity. Hope that makes
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah, I think that the theme or the thread of today's discussion is opportunity, 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 opportunity. Changing your perspective, asking yourself, what's the opportunity here? What's the opportunity here? Oh, I finished from school. I've not got a job. I've got a delivery gig. What's the opportunity here? You change your perspective. You saw the opportunity. I can become fitter. I can learn new. I can learn new food sports. I can make more money. I can improve my CV. And that's one thing that many people miss. They don't ask themselves, what's the opportunity in the midst of adversity? And then you talk about getting your foot through the door. I mean, just putting that foot through, like, okay, yes, all the doors are not open to me yet, but I'll get my foot through this door first and see where it takes me. You won't believe it, Lordwin, but there's just 5 minutes left. So I think I'm just going to have to ask you only one more question.
Okay.
Um, if you have any questions for the audience, please just ask the question, ask away. I don't want to be selfish asking Lord all the questions, but we only have 5 minutes to go to the end of this podcast. So I'm just going to ask you, I think, a very straightforward question you can easily answer. Can you tell us some of your favorite books?
Oh, favorite favorite books. Oh, the question even says favorite quotes or books. Well, I wouldn't necessarily. I don't actually think I have a favorite book like that, but I can
Yeah,
give you books that have changed my life the most.
yeah, that would do.
Of course, I'm not even going to include the Bible. That, as a matter of fact, you know what? No. I'm not even going to say I can't include that. That's a given. But for me, that's a given. But two books that have changed my life. One, I read it in sixth form. So when I was like 16, 17, it's called The Purpose Driven Life by a man called Rick Warren. That was a
Okay.
really good book because it's actually where that's where I started to really begin to understand the whole thing of, it's not necessarily about what you do, but it's about who you are. Because there's a
Mhm.
part in there where Rick Warren says, "You're not a human being. You are no. You're not a human doing. You are a human being." So it's like it's much more about who you are rather than what you do, because who you are decides what you do. you
Mhm.
know and
Yeah.
it just, I remember there was I was reading the one where it's like you read it for 40 days because it's like a 40-day devotional. I remember I'd wake up like 5:45 every morning and I'd sit at my desk in my room and I would read it. And it was just slowly changing my life. It was really good. So that's that one book. And then the second book is Atomic Habits. So by James Clear. That's a book that I was reading. Actually, maybe like just 2 years ago. I used to just read it on the train, on the way to work. And it's just, there you go. See, even the subtitle of the book is even Tiny Changes, Remarkable Results. It reminded me to not just look for the big things, but
Mhm.
focus on the small things. Because the thing about it, I think the reason why the book spoke to me so much is because it reminded me of something my mum would always say, is that little foxes ruin the vineyard. Is
Yeah.
that there's certain small things that go wrong eventually begin to add up, and they can turn into a big thing. So it made me realize that if that can happen in the wrong way, I can also make small things work for me in the right way. So those are two books that really helped to change my life. And I'm definitely on a journey when it comes to Atomic Habits of making small changes that continue to help me over my life. And that's a journey I'm taking. So even one thing, quick plug, if you want to see a little bit of my small steps in my journey, just find me on LinkedIn. As a matter of fact, this is even on LinkedIn Live. So just tune into my journey and you'll be able to see a little bit more about that. And I'm sure you can see a little bit more of Tunde's journey as well on his profile. But then again, you're already on the Passionate Professional. So, I'm sure you're tuned into that one.
Oh, nice, nice. Absolutely lovely. Thank you so much, Lodwin, for joining and sharing and adding a lot of value to us. I'm going to do something in the last minutes because I can't take questions from our audience, and it's just a random, maybe in a minute, let's just do some get to know you questions. Are you ready for this?
Oh, okay. Let's go.
Okay, go for it. So the first question is,
Let's see.
what's your, have you ever saved anyone's life? Or
Have
have
you
you
ever
possibly
saved
saved
any?
anyone's life?
Yeah, we actually have. It wasn't
Anyone's life?
me by myself. It wasn't me by myself, but it was myself, my cousin, and his mum. we were at the bus stop. It must have been like a Sunday, and one girl just fainted. She just completely fainted. So fell out, fainted, hit her head even on the curb and stuff like that. It was just a sudden situation. And this was maybe like 6-7 years ago. It was a very long time ago. But yeah, we stayed with her, took her to the hospital, everything like that. Turns out she was anemic and all of that kind of stuff, and she had low iron and stuff like that. And of course, I know that that's quite common in females, but it's one of those things where the way she hit her head, that could have been very, very dangerous. And they were saying that if it was one of those things where she was left, it could have been like internal bleeding or something like that. So it was a scary moment for us, but you know, we really helped her out. So yeah, this technically I've actually kind of saved someone's life. You know, I'm not a superhero, but you get me.
Oh, wow. Excellent. Thank you so much, Lordwin, for joining us on the Passionate Professional series. Thank you for people that joined in as well. I saw Sheila, I saw Tamandas. Thank you all for participating and sharing your comments as well. It's been an absolute pleasure. I think all through today, the thread of the meeting was opportunities. Seize the big opportunities, seize the small opportunities, always prepare for opportunities. And with that, we look forward to seeing you at the top. As Lordwin has said, to connect with him, you can find him on LinkedIn using his name, Lordwin Anim. Till the next time that we meet again, as I always like to say, make sure that you keep living with passion and purpose. We'll see you at the next episode. Bye, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye,
Take
Lordwin.
care. See you.